Morgan Hayes had always been a bit of a loner. Working remotely as a graphic designer meant minimal human interaction, which suited them just fine. Their small apartment on the outskirts of Seattle was quiet, predictable, and most importantly, private. At least until the night of the meteor shower. Morgan had fallen asleep on the couch after watching the celestial spectacle from their balcony. Around 3 a.m., a strange scratching sound from their bedroom closet jolted them awake. Heart pounding, they grabbed the closest weapon available, a novelty baseball bat from their college days, and crept toward the noise. "Whoever's in there, I've called the police," Morgan lied, voice cracking slightly. "They'll be here any minute." The scratching stopped. Morgan counted to 10, then yanked the closet door open with one hand while holding the bat aloft with the other. What they saw made them drop the bat with a clatter. Crouched among their winter coats was something not human. The creature had feline features, pointed ears, slitted pupils in amber eyes, and a light covering of golden fur, but an undeniably humanoid female form. She wore what looked like a torn bodysuit made of an iridescent material Morgan had never seen before. "Please," the creature spoke, her voice carrying an odd musical quality. "No harm." Morgan stumbled backward until they hit the bed and sat down hard. Who are you?" The creature slowly emerged from the closet, moving with uncanny grace. She was about Morgan's height but more slender, with a tail that swished nervously behind her. "I am Kira," she said, tapping her chest. "Ship broken." She made a crashing motion with her hands. "Hide here." "Sorry." Morgan's mind raced. A meteor that wasn't a meteor. A crashed ship. An alien. An alien in their apartment. "You're from space?" Morgan asked, immediately feeling stupid for the question. Kira nodded, then pointed upward. "Far. Very far." She shivered slightly, wrapping her arms around herself. "Cold here." Some basic human instinct kicked in, overriding Morgan's fear. "Do you want a blanket?" Kira tilted her head, not understanding. Morgan slowly stood and grabbed the throw blanket from the bed, offering it with outstretched hands. Kira's face lit up with understanding, and she accepted the blanket with careful movements, immediately wrapping it around her shoulders. "Thank," she said, then surprised Morgan by moving closer. "My kind need warmth." "Need." She seemed to search for the word, closeness. Before Morgan could react, Kira had settled beside them on the bed, curling up against their side. Morgan froze, but the contact wasn't threatening, it was more like a cat seeking warmth. "Your heart," Kira said, touching Morgan's chest lightly. "Fast." "Afraid?" "Wouldn't you be?" Morgan asked, finding their voice. "I didn't exactly expect to find an alien in my closet tonight." Kira's expression shifted to something like embarrassment. "Others come. Hunt me." Her ears flattened against her head. "Not stay long. Promise." Morgan should have been terrified. Should have run. Should have called someone, though who you call about a friendly alien refugee wasn't exactly clear. Instead, they found themselves relaxing slightly as Kira's warmth seeped through their pajamas. "Are you hungry? Thirsty?" Morgan asked, practical concerns suddenly overriding existential ones. Kira nodded eagerly. "Water, yes." As Morgan stood to get water, they caught sight of themselves in the mirror, ordinary, messy-haired Morgan in flannel pajamas, about to get a drink for a Catwoman alien from space. They couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity. "What's funny?" Kira asked, head tilted in curiosity. "Just thinking this wasn't how I expected my Tuesday to go," Morgan replied, heading to the kitchen. Little did they know, Tuesday was only the beginning. The morning sun filtered through Morgan's curtains, casting golden light across Kira's sleeping form. Morgan had spent half the night awake, alternating between existential panic and fascination as they watched their alien guest curled on the spare futon, tail occasionally twitching as she dreamed. When Kira finally stirred, stretching with feline grace, her amber eyes immediately found Morgan. "Good cycle," she said, her English noticeably improved after just one night of conversation. "Good morning," Morgan corrected gently. "Did you sleep okay?" Kira nodded, then sniffed the air. "That smell, food?" Morgan smiled. "Coffee and toast. Want to try some?" In the kitchen, Morgan watched in amusement as Kira cautiously examined everything. She was particularly fascinated by the toaster, jumping back when the bread popped up. Her reaction to coffee was less enthusiastic, one sip and her face contorted in disgust, ears flattening against her head. "Not all Earth food is like that," Morgan laughed, sliding over a jar of honey. "Try this with your toast." Kira's eyes widened at the first sweet taste. "This, amazing. Like nectar from Shira flowers on my world." As breakfast continued, their conversation deepened. Kira's species, the Faloran, came from a planet called Lumeris in what humans would call the Andromeda Galaxy. They were a peaceful, advanced civilization with technology focused on biological integration rather than mechanical development. "Your machines," Kira explained, gesturing to Morgan's laptop, "separate from you. Our technology, part of us, grows with us." When Morgan asked about her arrival on Earth, Kira's demeanor changed. Was scientist explorer. Found Earth by accident. Others not want contact yet. Her ears drooped. Broke rules. Now hunted. Morgan felt a pang of sympathy. "You're a fugitive because you discovered us?" "Rules protect undeveloped worlds," Kira nodded. "But ship damaged in asteroid field. Emergency landing." She looked down sheepishly. "Your closet, warm, dark. Safe." After breakfast, Morgan called in sick to work, a first in their 3 years at the design firm, and spent the day introducing Kira to human basics. Television confused her, why watch others live instead of living, while music delighted her. Morgan's small collection of houseplants fascinated Kira, who communicated with them in a series of gentle purrs and chirps. "They happy," she announced. "But thirsty." By afternoon, a new challenge emerged. Kira began looking increasingly uncomfortable, shifting restlessly and moving closer to Morgan whenever possible. "Something wrong?" Morgan asked. "My kind need contact. For health," Kira explained hesitantly. "Energy exchange. Without others of my kind." She struggled for words. "Like your plants without water." Understanding dawned on Morgan. "You need cuddles? Physical touch?" Kira nodded, looking embarrassed. "On Lumeris, all share touch. Family groups sleep together, work together. No one alone." Her eyes met Morgan's. "Touching strangers inappropriate, but emergency." Morgan hesitated only briefly before sitting beside Kira on the couch. "So, how does this work?" Relief flooded Kira's features as she cautiously leaned against Morgan's side. The sensation was odd, her body temperature was higher than a human's, and a subtle vibration emanated from her, almost like a purr. After a few minutes, Morgan found themselves relaxing into the contact. "Better?" Morgan asked. "Much better," Kira sighed, her tail curling contentedly around Morgan's wrist. "Thank you. Understanding rare quality." As dusk fell, Morgan realized that in just 24 hours, their solitary life had been completely upended, and somehow, they didn't mind at all. There was something comforting about Kira's presence, something that made their usually quiet apartment feel alive for the first time. "Tomorrow," Morgan said as they settled in for another night, "we should figure out some better clothes for you. And maybe a plan for whatever comes next." Kira nodded, her expression turning serious. Yes. Because others will come looking. She gazed out the window at the night sky. We have time. But not much. 2 weeks passed in a blur of discovery and adaptation. Morgan converted their home office into a makeshift bedroom for Kira, though they often found her curled at the foot of their own bed by morning, a habit Morgan had stopped questioning after learning more about Faloran social structures. Your species so isolated, Kira observed one evening as they shared dinner. Her English improved daily, though her speech still carried that musical lilt that Morgan had come to find endearing. Even family units separate. On Lumeris, generations live together, share everything. That sounds intense, Morgan replied, trying to imagine living with their own parents again. Humans value personal space. Kira's whiskers twitched in amusement. Yet you watch others constantly. She gestured to Morgan's phone. These social media, watching others live while staying apart. Contradiction. Morgan couldn't argue with that logic. In fact, since Kira's arrival, they'd barely checked their usual apps. Life had become more immediate, more present. Morgan had even started working with Kira in the room, finding her curious questions about design projects refreshing rather than distracting. The physical contact that had initially seemed awkward had become routine. Morgan no longer flinched when Kira's tail brushed their arm or when she leaned against them during movie nights, educational experiences Morgan had initiated to help Kira understand human culture. Currently, they were working through classic sci-fi films, much to Kira's amusement. Your species imagined space so violent, she commented during a spaceship battle scene. Most civilizations beyond Earth peaceful. War inefficient. As the movie ended, Kira turned to Morgan with an unusually serious expression. Need to show you something. Important to understand. She held out her hands, palms up. Curious, Morgan placed their hands on hers. Immediately, a warm sensation spread up their arms, accompanied by a soft blue glow where their skin touched. What's happening? Morgan asked, startled but not afraid. Energy exchange, Kira explained. How my kind connects. Shares emotions, some thoughts. The blue light pulsed gently. Not complete without proper bonding, but can feel me? Morgan closed their eyes, suddenly aware of a presence that wasn't their own, a gentle curiosity, affection, and underlying anxiety. Kira's emotions, flowing like a current between them. That's amazing, Morgan whispered. When they opened their eyes, Kira was watching them intently, her pupils dilated in the dimly lit room. On my world, she said softly, this begins bonding process. Between friends, family. She hesitated, potential mates. The air between them changed, charged with something new. Morgan felt their pulse quicken. And what does that involve? The bonding? Kira moved closer, her scent, like cinnamon and something unidentifiably alien, enveloping Morgan. Shows compatibility. Deepens connection. Her hand reached up to touch Morgan's face. If compatible, creates permanent link. Faloran mate for life. That's a big commitment, Morgan managed, though they didn't pull away. Yes, Kira agreed. But connection already forming. Feel it? Morgan did feel it, a pull toward Kira that defied rational explanation. Before they could respond, Kira leaned forward, pressing her forehead against Morgan's, a Faloran kiss. The contact sent a jolt of electricity through them both. When they separated, Morgan saw their own wonder reflected in Kira's eyes. Something fundamental had shifted between them, something neither could deny. As Kira curled against Morgan's side that night, her purring vibrating gently against their chest, Morgan realized with startling clarity that they never wanted her to leave. Outside, a shooting star crossed the sky, but this one moved with purpose, decelerating as it approached Earth's atmosphere. The pounding on the apartment door came at dawn. Morgan jolted awake to find Kira already up, ears flattened against her head, eyes wide with fear. "They found me," she whispered, grabbing Morgan's hand. "The trackers. We must go." Morgan barely had time to throw essential items into a backpack before Kira pulled them toward the fire escape. They were halfway down when the apartment door crashed open above them. Morgan caught a glimpse of tall figures in sleek armor before Kira yanked them into the alley below. "My car's in the garage," Morgan said, pulling keys from their pocket. "Can we?" "No time," Kira interrupted, her body tense. "Trackers have locators. Can find technology." She pulled Morgan deeper into the maze of urban backstreets. "Need natural areas. Interferes with signals." They ran for what felt like hours, eventually reaching the edge of the city park. Only when they were hidden in a dense grove of trees did Kira allow them to rest. Morgan collapsed against a tree trunk, breathing heavily. "Okay, you need to explain," Morgan demanded between breaths. "Who exactly is chasing you? You said you were a scientist." "Partial truth," Kira admitted, her tail lashing anxiously. "AM scientist. Also royal bloodline." Morgan stared. "You're alien royalty? Like a princess?" "Not princess. More like, designated evolution guide." Kira paced nervously. "My lineage engineered to lead next phase of Faloran development. Arranged bonding planned with military leader." Her eyes met Morgan's. "Escaped before ceremony." The implications hit Morgan like a wave. "So those aren't just police after you. They're political retrievers," Kira confirmed. "Failure of royal bonding threatens power structure." Morgan ran their hands through their hair, trying to process this revelation. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Feared rejection," Kira said simply. "Grew to care for you. Then felt connection forming." She moved closer, taking Morgan's hands. "Not expected. Not planned. But real." Before Morgan could respond, a crackling energy signature flashed at the edge of the clearing. Kira's body tensed, her pupils narrowing to slits. "They're here," she hissed, pulling Morgan behind her. Her body began to change, fur extending, muscles expanding beneath her borrowed clothes. "Stay back." 3 armored figures emerged from the trees, their helmets obscuring any features. The leader raised a hand containing what looked like a glowing restraint. Royal geneticist Kira Vash, a mechanically translated voice announced. "Your unauthorized departure has been logged as treason. Return for immediate bonding ceremony." "I reject the arrangement," Kira growled, her voice deeper in her partially transformed state. "Claim asylum on Earth." The leader stepped forward. "The human world is unprotected territory. Your knowledge threatens developmental protocols." "This human is my chosen bond mate," Kira declared, reaching back to grip Morgan's hand. A shock of blue energy pulsed between them. Preliminary connection established. The statement caused visible distress among the trackers, who conferred rapidly in their own language. Morgan felt Kira trembling against them, not from fear, they realized, but from restraining her full transformation. "Cross-species bonding is forbidden," the leader finally stated. "It corrupts the royal lineage." "Then I renounce my lineage," Kira replied. "Choose exile." The leader raised a weapon. "Not an option." What happened next occurred too quickly for Morgan to process. Kira fully transformed, becoming a magnificent 6-foot feline humanoid with extended claws and glowing markings across her golden fur. She launched forward, disarming the leader with one swipe before positioning herself between the trackers and Morgan. "This world under my protection now," she roared. "Return without me." The standoff stretched for a tense moment before the trackers backed away, their body language conveying reluctant deference to Kira's transformed state. The leader issued a final warning: High Council will not accept this defiance. Only when the trackers had disappeared did Kira collapse to her knees, transformation receding. Morgan rushed to her side. Are they gone? Morgan asked, scanning the trees. Temporarily, Kira managed, exhaustion evident in her voice. But will return with reinforcements. As night fell over the park, one thing became clear: their lives had irrevocably changed, and whatever came next, they would face it together. The government facility outside Phoenix wasn't what Morgan had imagined when Kira suggested they seek official protection. After escaping the trackers, they had spent 3 days moving cautiously toward a location Kira insisted would be safe, a place where her ship had originally been detected entering Earth's atmosphere. Now, seated in an interrogation room with mirrored walls, Morgan watched as various officials cycled through, asking the same questions in different ways. Yes, Kira was an alien. Yes, she had been living in Morgan's apartment. No, she wasn't a threat to national security. For the 10th time, Morgan said wearily to the latest suit-wearing interrogator, she came here by accident and just wants asylum. The door opened, admitting a distinguished woman in her 50s with close-cropped gray hair and the confident bearing of someone accustomed to authority. Unlike the previous questioners, she sat down directly across from Morgan with a friendly smile. I'm Director Elaine Bennett, she said, extending a hand. And I think we've put you through enough for one day. Your friend has been very forthcoming. Where is Kira? Morgan demanded, ignoring the handshake. Is she okay? She's fine. Our medical team is simply ensuring her needs are met. Director Bennett opened a folder. What's fascinating is that our techs have confirmed her biometric signature is consistent with readings we captured during an unidentified atmospheric entry 3 weeks ago. She's the real deal. Morgan relaxed slightly. So you believe us? Oh, we believed you the moment she transformed to protect you from those other aliens. Bennett smiled at Morgan's surprise. Yes, we have satellite coverage of that encounter. Very impressive. A technician entered with a tablet, whispering something to Bennett, who nodded. Bring her in. Moments later, Kira appeared in the doorway, looking tired but unharmed. She immediately rushed to Morgan, embracing them tightly. Are you hurt? She asked, checking Morgan with worried eyes. I'm fine, Morgan assured her. Just worried about you. Director Bennett cleared her throat. I'll get straight to the point. A mess. Kira has offered us an unprecedented opportunity, technological and biological insights from an advanced civilization, freely shared in exchange for sanctuary. And protection from the trackers, Kira added. Yes, about them. Bennett's expression turned serious. Based on the data we've gathered, we expect they'll return within the month with reinforcements. We're preparing accordingly. Morgan felt a cold weight in their stomach. Can Earth's technology really stand against theirs? Perhaps not, Bennett admitted. But Ms. Kira has proposed an alternative solution. She nodded to Kira, who squeezed Morgan's hand. My people respect natural bonds, Kira explained. If our connection is formalized, completed, even the High Council must honor it. Ancient law supersedes political arrangements. Formalized how? Morgan asked. Kira's eyes locked with Morgan's. Full bonding ceremony. Permanent neural and energetic connection. If accepted by you, would make us legally mated by Faloran standards. She's offering you an alien marriage, essentially, Bennett translated unnecessarily. Which would give her legitimate grounds for asylum under her people's own laws. Morgan's mind reeled. A month ago, they'd been a solitary graphic designer whose biggest commitment was a houseplant. Now they were discussing interspecies marriage with alien political implications. This is a lot, Morgan managed. Kira's ears drooped slightly. Understand if too much. Alternative solutions. No, Morgan interrupted, suddenly certain. I want to do it. They turned to Bennett. But afterward, we live our own lives. No government facilities, no constant monitoring. Bennett considered this. We can arrange a consulting relationship. A home with proper security, access to our scientists when needed, but otherwise, normal life. 3 days later, beneath a New Mexico sunset, Morgan and Kira stood within a circle of strange symbols Kira had drawn in the sand. The ceremony was attended only by Director Bennett and 2 scientists, who monitored the proceedings with barely concealed excitement. In my language, Kira said softly, her hands clasped with Morgan's, we say, 2 energies, 1 path. No longer separate beings after this. Parts of whole. I'm ready, Morgan whispered. The bonding began with the now familiar blue glow between their palms, but quickly intensified, spiraling up their arms and eventually enveloping them both. Morgan gasped as Kira's consciousness touched theirs, not just emotions now, but memories, thoughts, the very essence of her being flowing into them as theirs flowed into her. For one transcendent moment, Morgan understood everything about Kira, her childhood on Lumeris, her scientific discoveries, her fear and isolation upon arriving on Earth, and most powerfully, her growing love for the human who had taken her in without question. When the light faded, something fundamental had changed. Morgan could feel Kira's presence in their mind, a warm, constant connection that somehow didn't intrude on their own thoughts. It worked, Kira murmured, tears glistening in her amber eyes. Complete bond. 6 months later, in a modest house on the outskirts of Sedona, Morgan sat on their porch watching the sunset with Kira curled beside them. Their life had found a new rhythm. Morgan worked remotely for their design firm, while Kira split her time between consulting with the government team and writing what would become humanity's first comprehensive guide to extraterrestrial biology. The trackers had returned as predicted, but upon confirming the completed bond, had departed with formal, if reluctant, recognition of Kira's new status. More importantly, they'd established diplomatic contact, the first official acknowledgement of Earth by the wider galactic community. Thinking about work? Kira asked, sensing Morgan's contemplative mood through their bond. Thinking about closets, actually, Morgan replied with a smile. And how finding you in mine was the best thing that ever happened to me. Kira's purr rumbled contentedly as she pressed closer. Stars aligned perfectly. As night fell over the desert, Morgan realized that all their former loneliness had been replaced by something extraordinary, a connection that spanned galaxies and species, but in the end, was as simple and profound as 2 beings finding home in each other. Above them, new lights appeared in the sky, not stars or satellites, but the first official delegation from Lumeris, coming to meet Earth's first alien-human couple and begin a new chapter in both their worlds' histories.